Hey guys, it's Tarkon. I'm back. I'm back at the home base here in the PNW. I'm still jet lagged, so if I mumble or I seem tired, forgive me. This gets a little bit more difficult to do as I get older, getting over jet lag. But anyway, and I'm not really that old, but you know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I wanted to try something new today. I've been getting comments and, I've taken a little break from the channel. I'm doing a video now because I want to address some of these comments of yours through a video. This is the new thing I'm trying because I realize as the channel grows and I'm going to get more comments and more emails, I can't possibly reply to each one of them individually. I like doing that, but it's going to be way too time consuming. And a lot of comments are going to get lost in the shuffle and all this stuff. So anyway, what I've decided to do is to do some videos from time to time. Maybe more often than that, depending on how many comments we got coming in, where I address your comments. I'll pick the ones that I think are sort of the juiciest. Not juicy, but have pertinent questions and or observations that I think will be good for, a larger audience too, not just the individuals commenting. So this is actually my second attempt at this. The thing crashed, so I'm using my phone. I've got it kind of rigged up on my laptop here. I hope it doesn't topple over because it's a weird rig. I can't really show you, but I've kind of put a tripod on top of the screen. Anyway, you gotta make do with what you got sometimes, right? So anyway, this is good. I like the comments. Please keep them coming. I'm really appreciating them. I think I've said this before, but I'll keep saying it. I was just talking to a friend of mine who's thinking of starting her own YouTube channel. She has some videos recorded, but then she hasn't uploaded any of them yet. I said, this is good. This will be good. Just keep uploading. Even if you don't think they're perfect, you're going to get feedback from people. As people come to your channel and they start viewing your videos, they're going to let you know what they like and what they don't like, right? And that's how you kind of keep growing the channel and keep improving things. So been trying to do that here with you guys, and I hope that it's working, and I hope that you're going to continue to enjoy the content and that I can keep giving you better content. So I love the comments. Also, I noticed somebody replied to somebody else's question on the comment section, and I like that too. So, I think that it's good when we kind of help each other out. I can't remember who it was exactly. I can't find it right now, but I like that because then I didn't have to. She kind of said what I was going to say anyway, so that worked out, right? Anyway, having said that, let me there's just about 4 comments or something like that I want to address very briefly. And the first one is from Alan Crimmins. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So Alan writes, "It has been so long since I've seen her and I gave up. Now thinking about her again hurts. I have hoped for so long with no results, like hitting a brick wall." Yeah, see, Alan, right away, it's obvious to me that you're kind of in a very desperate situation here, right? You've been trying for so long, you're giving up, you're feeling like giving up, your head hurts when you think about her. There's something very important going on here, and that's that you're getting messages from yourself. You're getting messages from your kind of inner being, right? Your higher self, the part of you that really wants you to have what you want to have, that's trying to help you and guide you. And part of this guidance comes through in this kind of thing, this kind of emotions that we have, right? And it's important, if we're going to become master manifestors, it's important to learn to read that guidance system. I think Abraham Hicks refers to it as the emotional guidance system. In other words, your emotions are there. They're not there to punish you or reward you. They're there to kind of guide you, let you know whether you're moving closer to what you want or whether you're moving further away from what you want. In this case, I would say your guidance system is very loudly yelling at you, saying, step back, all right? You're focusing way too much on this person and this situation, but also you're focusing way too much on it not being here. You're giving all your energy into hoping, wishing, coming from a place of desperation. So, you know, the thing here to do, my friend, is to just step back. If you are feeling like giving up, then go with that feeling. And that's not to say give up. That's not to say this can't happen. It can happen, absolutely. Don't give up in the large sense of giving up. But go with the feeling of letting go. And this will, actually, you should watch my video from, I think it was the video before the last one, my rant about letting go versus giving up. I think that will benefit you. So look for that video. I think it's the one before the last video I uploaded. But to just say briefly, touch on some of that again. You know, when you're so focused on needing and wanting and hoping for something, you're coming from the mindset of hoping and wanting it, which means sending out the signal that you don't have what you want, right? Think about it this way. We as human beings, we tend to take things for granted that we have in our lives. You know, if I'm a millionaire today, I take my millions for granted, probably, right? I take money for granted. I assume it's always going to be there. But then when it's not there tomorrow, I kind of wish I had it again, all right? We tend to not focus so much on the things we already have. We tend to focus on the things we don't have. And so what's interesting, what happens is that, you know, you sort of only wish for something once you lost it, all right? That's what I'm trying to say. See, I'm still loopy. I'm still in travel mode. But that's it in a nutshell. We tend to want something once we've lost it, right? But when we have it, we don't think about it too much, do we? So we don't hope for $1 million when we have $1 million in the bank, do we? You know, we don't wish for a relationship when we're in a good relationship. So to say, I'm hoping, I'm wishing, is to kind of come from a mindset and from an internal space of not having the thing that you want. And what we want you to do, what I want you to do, and what you want to do, is to switch your thinking to a different internal space. You want to get to a different internal space, to one of having. And this is where people tend to get confused. And I hope I'm explaining this correctly. The idea is to act as if. You've probably heard this a million times. Act as if you have the thing that you want. Walk about your day from a place of having it, etc., etc. So what does that really mean? It's not enough to say and repeat the words, I have this, I have this, I have this. A lot of beginners with this stuff tend to do that. And then they go, well, I'm not getting any results. Well, are you feeling that you have it? When you say, I have it, I have it, I have it, are you really internalizing that? Are you really feeling it? Because that's the important part. It's not just the saying and the repetition of the affirmations and writing it out or whatever you're doing. You have to get yourself to a place of feeling it. So ask yourself this, and I always, you know, try to tell people, well, what would you be doing if you had the thing that you want? What would you be doing if you had the relationship, for instance, with this person that you want? I assume it's an ex. You weren't very specific about it. Let's say it's an ex. What does your relationship with her look like? What do you guys do on a daily basis? What are some fun things that you like to do together? Do you like to travel, go on road trips? Do you like to just stay at home and watch movies? You know, what does your lovemaking look like? What does your day-to-day look like together? You know, are you married? Are you living together? Are you living separately but dating? I mean, what is it? Be very specific about what you want, how you imagine it to be. And as you do that, you start to imagine it being, and you start to get very clear about it, and you start to feel a little bit better. But what's really important here, in your case, I think, because, you know, the obvious thing is to say, imagine what it would be like if you have it. But I want you to imagine not the things you would be doing if you had this relationship, but what wouldn't you be doing if you had the relationship that you're doing now? In other words, for you specifically, it might help for you to go, well, if I had the relationship with her that I wanted, would I be hoping for it? No. Would I be feeling desperate about it? No. Would I be writing some guy on YouTube for advice? No. I'm glad you're doing it, by the way. But you wouldn't be doing it if you were in that perfect relationship, would you? So in your situation, because I think you're coming from a very strong place of kind of resistance and opposition to what you want, you're still sort of internalizing this very heavily, and you're coming from a place very heavily of not having it. You want to stop doing the things that you're doing that signal to your mind and your inner being and your subconscious that you don't have this relationship. And part of that is you're going to stop thinking about her altogether. You know, your head hurts when you think about her. Stop thinking about her. Don't worry that nothing's going to happen if you don't think about her. In fact, if you keep thinking about her from this perspective of desperation, then I can guarantee you nothing's going to happen. You want to start shifting your thinking, and that's very important. And in your case, since you're kind of very deep in this sort of emotional brouhaha, you want to get away from it completely. And you want to start focusing on other things, things that you're passionate about, things that you love doing. Maybe kind of being in love and being in the situation has caused you to stop doing some of the things you love doing. People do that, that happens. Rediscover those things, rediscover your passions, your hobbies, other people in your life that you might have been neglecting, friends, family that you haven't talked to in a long time. Go have beers with some buddies. Go on other dates. Go on dates with other girls. Go hit the gym. Go on a road trip. You know, work on some project that you want to work on. Do anything that you can do to get your mind off of her and onto yourself in a positive way. All right? And then once you've done that for a while, once you get into the habit of that, not thinking about her 24/7, because it's not doing you any good, then you can start to approach the situation again, but from a different angle, from a different perspective, and from the perspective of, oh, what would it be like if I had a relationship with her? What would we be doing every day together? You know, are we living together? Just like I mentioned before, are we living together? Are we married? Do we have children? Do we live in a house or an apartment? Are we living separately, but we're dating and we see each other, what, once a week, twice a week? Are we calling each other every day? Then you can start to get specific about it, and you can start to kind of practice the feeling of being in that relationship. But you have to first shut off that noise in your head about not having it. You have to shut that off first. So your first step here is to just completely put her out of your mind. And I know that's really difficult. It's much easier said than done. But you can do it with practice. You know, this practice. This law of attraction stuff is great. You can really have anything that you want. But we live in an action-based universe. Your action will be required to make things work. And in this case, the action is to practice feeling better around this situation. Practice reading your emotions. Practice controlling your emotions and your thoughts around anything, really, not just this situation, but around any situation in your life. So in this case, practice not thinking about her so much. Practice focusing on things that give you joy, and do those things instead. So, you know, I hope I'm explaining this well. I know, I realize I'm kind of mumbling and ranting, but I don't want to confuse you. But step one here is to just remove yourself from the situation and do whatever it is that you need to do. Step two, once you've done that for a while, and maybe it'll take you a couple of months or whatever, it's worth it, believe me. Once you've done that for a while, then you can start to approach the situation again, if it's still something that you want. After you kind of let go and you step back from it and you focus more on yourself, you might discover that it's not, that you're happy without it, and maybe you want a new relationship with somebody else. That's fine too. But if you find that you still want this person in your life, then you can start to sort of approach it from a calmer, less resistant place and perspective, right? That's when you start to think in terms of, oh, what would it feel like if I had this thing? And if it feels good to you, then you keep going with those thoughts and you keep practicing those thoughts, right? And bit by bit, the pieces will fall into place. Maybe you'll hear from her, maybe you'll run into her. Whatever it is, you'll know when it happens. It'll be undeniable, okay? So number one, step away from the situation. Focus on yourself. Focus on things that give you joy. Stop talking about this. Stop thinking about it. Okay? If you're contacting her, stop contacting her. All right? I hope that helps you. Okay, 𝗙𝗵𝗂𝗖𝗍. I like that. 𝗙𝗵𝗂𝗖𝗍 says, can this work if he is dating someone else and is happy? Well, that's interesting. Why is that interesting? Okay, I'll tell you why it's interesting. Because when you're saying he's happy, how do you know he's happy? That's what I want to ask you. How do you know he's happy? Has he told you he's happy? Even if he has, how do you know he's really happy? People aren't necessarily happy all the time in relationships, even if that's what they're showing to the public. It's not always necessarily true, right? I'm ribbing you a little bit, and I'm doing it for a very good purpose, because I want you to understand how you're giving meaning to a situation, and that meaning is coming from you, not from the situation itself. It's not coming from the external situation. You're giving meaning to this idea of him being in a relationship with somebody other than you, and that must make him happy. And the underlying sub-meaning of that is that he's not happy with you. He would rather be with somebody else, which would make him happier. That's a meaning that you're giving to the situation. Are they married? Do they have children? If it's somebody he's just dating, you know what? Things can change all the time. People break up all the time. People get back together all the time. This is about you and what meaning you're giving to the situation. So when you say he's, excuse me, with somebody else and he's happy, hold on a minute. I've been talking too much today. When you're saying that, you're coming from the perspective where you believe he's happy being with somebody else other than you. And that's a very important thing to understand. Because it helps you to kind of get into the idea and the mindset and the perspective that you're doing this, right? You are in charge of what's coming back to you. Now, there are going to be external factors like this. Yes, he's in a relationship with somebody else. That's done right now, okay? But how you look at that situation is entirely up to you, and how that plays out in the future depends on how you look at it, which is your choice, right? Now, I'm a big believer in the idea that we live in a multi-dimensional universe, and as members of this universe, we are also multidimensional, which means there are infinite versions of us living infinite possibilities parallel to this specific reality that you're focused on right now, him being in another relationship. So there is a reality right now where he's not in another relationship with somebody else, he's with you. That's the reality you want to approach. All right? That's the thing you want to focus on. Now, what does that mean? Just like I told Alan, you have to stop focusing on him being with somebody else. It's easier said than done, I know, but important and takes practice, right? You want to stop focusing on him being happy with somebody else. Stop saying that, first of all. Stop thinking it. Start thinking, what if he were happy with me? What if we were together and we were both extremely happy? What would that look like? What would that feel like? Get into the feeling of it and completely put this other person, this other relationship out of your mind. Don't look at pictures of them. Don't try to compare yourself to them. Don't think about them together. Stop doing all that stuff. Focus on you being number one in his life. You begin to accept that as a reality to yourself in your mind. You begin to give that meaning instead. You start to shift. You start to shift into the place where you two are together. Now, you're not breaking them up. There's a lot of controversy around this particular topic. I'm glad you brought it up, and I wanted to read your comment and address it for that reason, because a lot of other coaches and teachers might tell you, well, you shouldn't try to manifest somebody not being together with somebody else and it'll backfire. Nonsense. They'll continue to be together in another reality that you're not a part of. You'll be in the reality where you two are together. So you have to just make that shift. Sometimes it's really about that, right? There's a reality where I'm a freaking billionaire. If I wanted to be a billionaire right now, I could focus on that. What would that be like? What am I doing? Sometimes there's an interesting kind of trick that I've heard, that I've used, where you imagine having a conversation or you hold an interview with your other self that's living the reality that you want to live in that dimension, right? And it's a kind of a game that you're playing with yourself. But there's something to it. Ask that version of you that you prefer to come to you and say, hey, what's it like being back with him? What are we doing together? What's our relationship like? You know, see what comes back to you. Trust that the thoughts that come back and play with them a little bit. But the point is, stop focusing on him being with somebody else. You have to start putting yourself first, and then other people will put you first as well, all right? So that's kind of a nitty-gritty thing to say, right? That's the nitty-gritty part of it. But the other part of it, the sort of more kind of LOA part of it, is focus on the reality where you two are together and he's not with somebody else. That's the one you want to be in. And as you focus on it more and more, as you start feeling that more and more, and you focus less and less and less on the thing you don't want, which is him being with somebody else, you begin to shift. You will gradually begin to shift into that other reality. Again, just like I told Alan here, maybe he'll contact you. Maybe you'll find out they broke up. It's happened to me, all right? But then I've realized I don't want to be with her anymore. Uh-oh. Did I cause their breakup? No, I just shifted into reality where they were breaking up. In another one, they're still together, you know? So you're not messing with anybody's mojo here. And you're also, you know, you're going to teach yourself how to give meaning to things that you prefer. And to teach yourself to understand and recognize that the fact that you are giving meaning to things is entirely without your power and is very powerful. So I hope that helps you, 𝗙𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍. I like that. Mahesh writes, annoying music. Thank you, Mahesh. That was an older video from May, I think. I think if you watch my newer ones, you'll find I'm no longer using the annoying music, except maybe in my podcast, but I like that music. I'm going to stick with it. Anyway, thanks for your comment there. You know, I like that too. I like feedback. Feedback's good. This is like what I was telling my friend. They'll let you know what they like and what they don't like. I have one more person here, 𝗬𝗵𝗵𝗆. I hope that's correct, 𝗬𝗵𝗆. I'm just going to call you Mo. I actually have a good friend named Mo. She's pretty kick-ass, so I'm going to just call you Mo. Mo writes, who are you and why are you so wise? Thank you. I don't think I'm that wise. I don't think I'm wiser than anybody else. Maybe just a little bit more self-absorbed. Maybe. I find your advice rivaling the stuff coming from very seasoned LOA coaches. Well, thank you. That's a really nice compliment. And I have been on this path for years. Well, you know, Mo, so have I. And I think maybe that's why I'm coming across as wise. I have been on this path myself for many years. I think I first heard about law of attraction maybe 15 years ago. What is it now, 2019? Yeah, even before The Secret came out, I think. I think that came out in 2006. Even before then, I would hear about it, and I thought, oh, what's this? Or I didn't understand what it was exactly, but I would hear more and more about it, and I'd start to get more and more curious, and then I remember The Secret came out, and everyone was talking about that, and I sort of took a big bite, and I just kept chewing and chewing and chewing. But I would kind of leave it and go back to it and leave it and go back to it. But I think it was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I really wanted to make a sea change in my life. And it was specifically around what we're talking about on this channel. It was specifically around relationships, because I was having terrible relationships. I think around that time, I just broken out. I'd gotten dumped by a girl that I moved across country with to be with. And then she dumped me a day after Thanksgiving. That was amazing. But, you know, I was kind of like in a, why does this keep happening? What's going on? And, you know, my old kind of immature, ragey self was always blaming other people for my circumstances. Blaming these people that I was, why am I always attracting these shitty people into my life? And why are they all so terrible and selfish and yada, yada, yada? You know, I guess it was mark of maturation for me to say, well, maybe I have to look at myself and my patterns of behavior and my patterns of thinking about myself and people and relationships and what's really going on here. And so I sat down and I really decided, my desire was to fix this thing in my life that kept repeating over and over. And I made that my job for quite a while, and I read everything I could get my hands on. And I'm mentioning this because this is going to go into you left 2 comments. I'm going to address your second comment because I'm going to give you very practical advice on your second comment. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I didn't just read law of attraction material. I did a lot of it. And that's why there's all this information bouncing around my cabeza, probably much like yours. But I also read very practical books. I think I told 𝗙cie_𝗿 this just a minute ago. We are living in an action-based universe as well. So practical advice is very important, and that's part of your manifestation process, right? Because the universe will give you the right material sometimes, the right information to answer your questions and to kind of get you on a path. It was like me saying, well, my desire is better relationships. I want to manifest better relationships with more quality people. So the universe said, okay, well, if you want to do that, well, then you have to work on yourself and you have to learn these skills, these relationship skills, and you have to understand about attraction and romance and working on yourself. So here are these books that don't have anything to do with spiritual stuff, but, here's a book that'll help you to, talk to women more effectively, or, understand what attraction is about and how it works and what do women want? In my case, it's women because I date women. But, whatever it is, practical advice, Hey, if you're broke, the universe might point you in a direction or to a teacher who's going to teach you how to make better investments. Don't scoff at that stuff, even though it doesn't seem magical or esoteric. It's part of your education into becoming a better manifester for yourself. So be appreciative of all this stuff. And that's the reason that I want to make this channel not just a law of attraction channel. I'm looking at relationships through that lens, but I'm also going to be giving a lot of practical advice. So having said all that, blah, 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 your second comment is, how do you know you haven't missed out on a huge sign the universe sent your way? I.e., an ex sending me a long, heartfelt text apology for hurting me in the past after I finally put myself first and told him off. However, me not responding to it, thinking it's best I give him the gift of missing me. Now, I was talking about practical relationship advice. I think you might have sought out some of the same material as I have, because I recognize that phrase, giving him the gift of missing me. I've used that phrase. And thinking I'm gone for good. Then crossing paths with him twice, and them ignoring me, well, him ignoring you, I assume you're saying. What do you think, Tarkan? Is there such a thing as a missed God-sent opportunity? Well, yes and no. I would say in this case, what you've got going on here, you didn't get a sign. I assume that what you wanted was to hear from him, and maybe what you wanted was even an apology, and you got that, right? Now, I'm going out on a limb here. I'm assuming that's what you wanted, and you got it. So I wouldn't say that you were given a sign. I would say that you were given a manifestation. This was a manifestation, right? Sometimes this stuff really is nuanced. What do I really want? If I want the relationship, I'm going to focus on the relationship, and the relationship will unfold. Things like that will happen. I'll hear from the person. I'll get an apology, whatever it is. If I only focus on that, getting that apology or getting that text message, then I'll get those things. But it may not go any further than that, because I've kind of stopped my manifestation process there. I've kind of made that the end-all be-all to the situation, right? I did this for a long time once with a person where I kept focused, I want her to contact me, I want her to contact me, and she would contact me, and I would respond And I could never get her to get together with me, and she would just ghost out on me again. And then 2 months later, she'd contact me again, and then the whole thing would start over. And it was really frustrating. What's going on here? And I realized what I was doing was that I was focusing so much on her contacting me that I kept manifesting her contacting me, but nothing beyond that. It seems ridiculous, but sometimes that's how this stuff works. So, you know, if I had not focused on how it was going to happen that we would get back together, then we would have, you know, that thing would have been done very quickly. I would have focused on the end result being the relationship, not the hearing from her, right? What's your end result that you're after? Do you want a relationship, or do you want to hear from him and get an apology? Because if that's what you were focusing on, well, that's what you got. Congratulations. Now you got to decide what you really want. And here's a big clue for me from your comment, because right after you wrote, giving him the gift of missing me, you said, and thinking I'm done for good. I'm gone for good. So you kind of wanted him to think that, didn't you? You wanted him to think he'd lost you. And maybe you wanted him to feel the pain that he put you through. So now this is very important. I'm not judging you on this. It's fine either way. But I want you to gain some clarity on this. What are you really after here? Were you after a new relationship with him? Or did you want to stick it to him a little bit? And again, it's okay if that's what you wanted to do. If that's what you were after, you got it. Congratulations. But if you're telling me you want something more than that, well, then you need to start focusing on the more than that. And in that case, I would say ignoring his text message when he's apologizing to you is not a good way to go. Now, that's just coming from a very practical kind of place. That's very practical advice, right? But again, the choice was yours and is yours ultimately in the end. So if you wanted him to miss you, congratulations, he misses you. He wouldn't have reached out and apologized if he didn't. That's clear right off the bat. If you wanted him to feel the loss of losing you, congratulations, you did. Because then you ran into him a couple of times, it looks like, and he ignored you. So I would say from a very practical standpoint, he probably thought you didn't want anything more to do with him, or that you're still angry with him. That's why he ignored you. He texted you an apology, and you ignored it. So when he saw you, he probably got out of your way thinking that's what you wanted, right? But if what you want is to open up honest new lines of communication with him, leading to the ultimate goal of getting back together, then yes, I would approach this differently. I would have approached it differently, but I would approach it differently from now on. I think you need to send a signal to him that if it's true that you're no longer mad at him and that you appreciate the apology. Now, I don't know how long ago this happened, but even if it was a while ago, send him a text. Just a little something. Hey, I was thinking about you. Or bring up something innocuous if you want. Whatever you're comfortable with, but let him know in one way or another that you accept his apology. Because if you want to get back together with him, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to get past the hurt and the blame game and the trying to get him hurt, and now I'm going to give him what I had, what he gave me, and all this kind of stuff, right? It's fine if that's what you want to do. Then you can just keep doing this thing and running into him. Some people like it. Some people like that game, and then that's what they perpetuate. That's what they keep creating. But if you want more, and again, sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what do you really want out of this situation? Do you want to get back together with this person? If you do, now the ball's in your court. That's very practical, plain advice. The ball is now in your court. So you decide what to do with it. If you can leave it lying there if you want, you don't hit it back, then go and date somebody else, do something else. If you want him back, pick up the ball and hit it back, okay? That's the best thing I can tell you right now. And again, see, now that's practical advice. That's not even sit and chant and do affirmations kind of stuff. You already manifested something you wanted. That's what you truly wanted, right? Get clear on these things and be comfortable with the nuance of it, because what you're manifesting is what you're focusing on. If you're manifesting a text message apology from him, you were focused on that. If you're manifesting him ignoring you and you're ignoring him, then that's what you're focused on. This game, this back and forth game that you're playing. If you want the game to stop and you want to get back to a place of honest communication, then respond to his apology, accept his apology, and then move on from there. And now you've opened the door. You know, he opened it a crack. You want to open it a little bit more and meet each other halfway, okay? If that's what you truly want. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. This has been fun. I think I'm going to keep doing this. Now, for all of you asking me if you can email me, absolutely. I'm going to leave the email in the description box. I keep wanting to say subscription box. I don't know why. But here's something important I want to say about that. I cannot get back to everyone on the emails. And I apologize for that, but it's really a time thing. I wish I could. But here's what's going to happen. I want you guys to keep writing me in emails. I'm going to continue to do the longer podcast versions where I'm addressing emails. I like that, and I think I'll do 1 or 2 of those a month. And then I'll sort of summarize emails that I'm receiving and kind of address them, you know, in a podcast. But I can't really respond to you individually at this point. However, in the near future, I'm thinking within the next month, I'm setting up a website and I'm going to be offering email coaching packages at hopefully affordable prices. I'm going to have to start doing this because, well, you know what? I like money. You should like money too. But also, I like my time. And I love helping you guys. I love doing these videos. All that stuff is going to continue to be free, but I will set up a email coaching option for those people that really want to have a more one-on-one interaction and really kind of dive into their issue. Then they'll have the option to do that, right? Otherwise, barring that, please keep writing, and your email may very well land in a video, a podcast, whatever you want to call it. And so keep writing and keep listening and keep watching the videos and keep listening to see if it's in there. You know, I'll try to address all of them as much as I can. But again, I think as this channel grows, which it looks like it is, I'm loving it. It's going to get more and more difficult for me to give everyone individual attention. And that's just regrettably, you know, kind of the nature of the thing, I think. But I do hope you still continue to value this content and continue to write me and continue to leave awesome comments. I'm going to do this video again, this kind of thing where I'm addressing comments. And let me know what you think, by the way, about this, if you like it or not. And barring that, I've taken down the book list for now because I had some issue with Amazon. They wanted me to have a website. They didn't know what I was. So I will have books up again on the website that I'm building, and then you can I'll just link to there, and you guys can look through my book list there. Also, there is a PayPal donation button down below, so anything helps. Anything's appreciated, even if it's 50 cents. Doesn't matter. If it's a quarter, I need to do laundry. So if you value the content and you want to leave me a tip and say thank you, then I would appreciate that very much. And again, that's in the description box. Did I say that right this time? Yes. Okay. All right, guys. Hopefully I'll be more awake next time. I love you all. Keep those comments coming. And have a great week. All right. Take care. Bye.